Boolean expressions and if statements. This is lesson 2, else. The objectives of this lesson are to write programs which use else and else if statements and understand how Java interprets a structure of multiple conditional statements. Else statements can optionally follow an if statement. Else statements are executed when the condition in the if statement is false. The structure below is called a two-way selection because the code has two different ways of being executed depending on whether the Boolean condition is true or the Boolean condition is false. So notice, if the condition is true, I'm going to run the statements here. Else, I'll run these statements down here. If my car is broken down, I'll call an Uber. Else, I'll drive myself. Two-way, one or the other depends on the condition. Here, if your grade is greater than or equal to 50, the system will output that you are passing. Otherwise, the system is going to output that you are failing. We can also combine else statements and if statements into what we call else if statements to create longer blocks if we want more than two options. Think about your grades. You have an A if you're between 90 and 100. Else, if your percent is between 80 and 89, it's a B. Else if, get the picture. Here it is written out. If grade greater than or equal to 90, system that out to print line A. Else, if your grade is greater than or equal to 80, output a B. Now notice, it's not a problem here because if your grade is greater than or equal to 90, you're going to output the A and then leave the if statement. Once you do something in one of these, once one of these if statements evaluates to true, or you fall all the way down to the else, you leave the if statement. So you don't have to worry about anything else running. So here, if the grade is greater than or equal to 80, it won't get anything 90 because 90 would have tripped it up here. You'll output the B. Else if grade is greater than or equal to 70, you're going to have a C. Greater than or equal to 60, a D. Remember, if you had 92, that was going to cause your A to print. And so you would never get to anything down here. And then else, failing. Again, as soon as one of the conditions is true, those statements or a single statement or statements are run, and the remaining blocks that begin with else are skipped. And you fall to the next executable line of code after the if statement. Be careful. Note that the else and if and else if are separated by a space. The previous example allows us to test multiple conditions while avoiding printing out more than one answer. The else if means that we only test if the student received a B, if they did not have a grade high enough to qualify for an A. If we reversed this, okay, if we reversed it and we first checked grades greater than or equal to 60, get a D. Else if greater than or equal to 70, get a C. Well, the D's would print. Everybody would have, somebody with a 92 would have a D. You would never get to the A. Only one option in the else if block will be executed. If the grade is not greater than or equal to 90. The computer will then check if the grade is greater than or equal to 80. If it is, then the computer prints B and never looks at the other options. If the grade is 85, then grade greater than or equal to 80 is true, and grade greater than or equal to 70 is true. But the computer always takes the first true statement, so you don't have to worry about the next one. That's why you have to be careful the order of your else ifs. Now, it's your turn. You want to pause the video and you want to write an if statement that prints too cold if temperature is below 50 degrees. Okay, if the temperature is between 50 and 90 degrees, and too hot if the temperature is above 90 degrees. So now, pause the video and see if you can write this if statement. Did you try? And remember, it's important to try to do this on your own before you look at the solution If temp less than 50, it's too cold. So 42, 43, 35. If the temperature is more than 50, I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to come down here to the else if. Else if temp less than or equal to 90. So if it was an 80, this won't work, this will. So it'll say it's okay. Else, system.out, it's too hot. Basically, as soon as you go over 90, you're going to drop down to here. Right? And again, remember, you might have named your variables something different. And you could have used T instead of temp or temperature instead of temp. Okay? Pause the video and write this down if you need to. Then that is the end of lesson 2. You're doing good.